G'day everyone. For those who came in late, you're listening to Expand the Fandom Podcast.
500 years ago, he washed ashore the sole survivor of a shipwreck. And upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die.
The Phantom,
the ghost who walks,
the Phantom,
enemies beware, the Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom.
Hey guys, we are the Chronicle Chamber team, and this is Expand the Fandom Podcast. This is episode 209, the best of 2021, and we're very excited to be here for our first podcast of 2022, looking back at 21. Hopefully, some of what we talk about will strike a chord with you, and you'll have an opinion on something and disagree with us or whatever. At any stage, of course, remember to email us at chroniclechamber@gmail.com, or you can check out our website, of course, chroniclechamber.com, or subscribe to us on any of the various platforms, and we'll talk about it as we go through. As I said, episode 209, it's a bumper episode today, so we need to get into it. I'm joined by both the fellas. The whole team's here to review last year. So, Steve, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, Dan, and yourself?
Yeah, very good, mate. Excited to be here and reviewing what was a bumper year for Frew.
Absolutely. It was an absolute stellar year, and people can contact us even if they don't disagree with us. They can agree with us. We always like to hear it when people agree with us as well.
Speaking of people we know everyone agrees with, Jermayn, how are you, mate?
Oh, mate, I'm so glad you've figured that one out after 200 odd episodes. No, very good, mate. Tired, but yeah, good.
Yeah, all right.
By the way, remember, this is a review of not just Frew, but of everything around the world as well.
Yeah, correct. You're absolutely right on that. I'm excited because this is the podcast where we release the results of our fan favourites Frew's poll. Excited to be talking about who were some of the best issues, stories, and covers from Frew. So we'll talk about those as we go throughout. But you're absolutely right. We are here to talk about everything fandom from 2022. And these podcasts, these review over the year podcasts, seem to be getting longer and longer because there's just more to talk about. So Steve's going to take us away. We're going to first go through what were all of the Phantom stories that we had released throughout last year.
Okay, so I'm beginning the tale of the tape. So we're going to start off with King Features in the USA, of course. There was 4 daily stories and 3 Sunday stories. Then going to Australia here with Frew, there was 26 regular issues. They went from 1883 through to 1908. Out of those, Frew created stories, there was 12, which is up from 7 last year. First time published by Frew, regardless of age, there was 25 stories. Now, as a little bit of a side note, Gaslight and Heart of Darkness, they only count as 1 each. So that's still 25 brand new stories that have never been published by Frew, which is up from 16 last year. And of course, that means that, we wouldn't know how much, of course, because I haven't said the total amount published by Frew, but that's 21 stories were the previously published by Frew that were released this past year, and which is down from 29 last year. So more from more newies, less oldies, if you want to put it in that way. So, of course, like I said, more new stories than in 2020. 58 stories in total, down from 60 in 2020 and 69 in 2019. However, there's probably a lot more multi-part stories, I guess, maybe. I haven't looked at it that too closely.
Also less, like there's not Phantom's World and Gaslight.
Yeah, so that plays a part as well. Now, there were 3 new Frew stories, including Giant-Sized Scorpius, Death Dive, and Phantom Crusader, compared to 13 in 2019 and 10 in 2020. In regards to Kid Phantom, we got 1 issue. That was an absolute stellar issue. Well done to the team on that one. Giant Size.
Probably my best surprise Phantom moment of the year, I think, if I'm going to jump in.
I really enjoyed it. Giant Size Phantom, there was 4 issues, and we had 1 trade paperback. Fewer books than the last 4 years. 2017, we had 36, 2018, 42, 2019, 38, and 2020, there was 34, and then last year we had 32. Take it away, please, Jermayn, who will be moving us over to Sweden.
Yes, so we had Sweden. So there was 19 regular issues, 2 trade paperbacks, 4 replica hardcover books, which is kind of like the Frew replica issue, but they do them in hardcover back instead. So regarding the stories, there was 9 new Team Fantomen created stories. That's up from last year, which there was 8. And there was 3 new Frew stories. So these are Frew stories created by Frew. And last year there was 2. And then there was 10 new newspaper stories, a lot of tongue twisters there. In 2020 there was 8, and in 2019 there was 11. Now there was 24 repeat stories. These are all Phantom stories, not the other stories that they include in their comics as well. So in 2020 they had 21. So we've got more repeat issues than last year, and in 2019 there was 0 repeat stories. So overall, fairly similar numbers in Team Phantom or in the Fantomen comic. I would say there's probably more stories this year, whether it's new and old stories, than probably the last couple of years, which I think is a good thing if you're a Phantom reader. So then we'll quickly switch over continents and we'll go to the USA. So Hermes Press, so that's USA. So they did one Sunday. Now they've been doing one Sunday a year for the last couple of years, which is an interesting decision. They've done in 2021. They did 3 daily volumes, and of course they did the 1 DC volume as well, which of course there's a review on our website. A quick side note, without distracting us too much, if anyone would like to see reviews of the dailies and Sunday volumes, let us know on social media or via email, because if the interest is there, we will do them. Otherwise, we will not do them. Tale of the Tape, going back 4 years. 2018, Hermes Press did 4 releases. 2019, they did 7. 2020, they did 8. And last year, they did 5. Now, those higher numbers were including the Avon reprint books as well, which was a lot easier to publish than, say, a daily or a daily combination. Okay, so finishing off in USA, we have the Comics Review, which is an amazing publication. They publish 6 issues every year, and 3 of them in this year had the Phantom on the front cover. So that's ranging from there was one to celebrate Dick Tracy's birthday, and then there was one with a Phantom on a bauble in a Christmas cover. I
was looking at that Christmas cover, trying to figure out where the Phantom was. I didn't see him in the bauble.
So in 2020, the Phantom only featured on 2 covers, and in 2019, he featured in 3 covers. So you're basically, if you're only after Phantom on the cover, you're looking at generally every second issue will feature the Phantom on the cover. Okay, so we'll quickly shoot over to India, and we've got Regal first. Now, there hasn't been any of the Malayalam series comics for 2 years now. I'm assuming, we haven't heard officially, but we're assuming that series has been cancelled and they're just focusing on the English series. And surprisingly, last year, in the middle of the middle of the pandemic, they released 15 issues of the English series, which is up from 6 in 2020, which is a huge increase in numbers. So that's a real positive.
Yeah, and we'll stay in India because there's 2 licenses there apparently, and that the conversation about that is well detailed if you want to go and have a look on our website, chroniclechamber.com, of course. But Shakti is the other company there. They released 1 issue, but in 3 different languages. So not quite the production of Regal, of course. Now, if we go back into, we'll continue our trip around the world. Kokas in Hungary had 5 issues with the Phantom, 2 of which he was on the cover. So that's similar to last year. They had 6 issues come out last year, 5 this year, and 1 back when they started in 2019. In Brazil, the Mythos company continued to pump out some issues. They had 8 come out this year, which is up from the last couple of years where they had 7 in each of the last 2, 8 this time. 4 of those were regular stories and 4 of them were newspaper reprints. Over in France, I forget the name of the company publishing in France, but anyway, they had 1 trade paperback and also a regular comic, which featured reprints of the Charlton stories. In Norway, they had the 1 Christmas album. Fantomen had the 1 Christmas album, which is the first time they published that since 2019, so missed last year. They also had 4 Chronicle albums in Norway. Spain had the hardcover books that they reprint, similar to what Hermes put out. 3 of those they put out, the Daily Strip album, so very similar sort of quality. Probably not quite as good as Hermes Press, but pretty solid on the same if you can read the language. They also put out 2 Sunday Strip reprint books as well. And we finish our journey around the world in Finland, the company there also put out 1 soft cover album. So that feels like a lot more than previous years, boys.
It sure does. How many countries altogether is that, Dan?
I'm glad you asked, Steve. That's 10 countries overall around the world, up from last year was 9 because of France. Of course, France is new in 2021, having released that 1 book. The 2 books. Germany, we're looking forward to Germany joining the crew in 2022. So next year, when in our best of 22, hopefully we're mentioning Germany and how well they have done in terms of issuing comics. That, if you want to look at the grand total of things, is 101 comic books around the world, which is about like a 30% increase on previous years. 2020 had 77 books around the world, and comic books, I should say, to specify comics. So 2020 had 77, 2019 had 76 comics, and 101 across the globe in 2021. There are also 7 hardcover collections, those Spanish and the Hermes Press ones, as I mentioned, and across predominantly Team Fantomen and Frew, 21 brand new stories that were not reprints or seen before in any language. That's about the same as last year when there was 22 and the previous year 23. So if anything, a very slow decline, but really hanging around that 20 plus mark.
Yeah, so just doing some quick 101 comics, so that's roughly 2 a week, which is pretty awesome. It will hurt a lot of people's bank balances that like to collect everything, and 21 brand new stories, so 20 odd. So that's what, just under 1 a fortnight we're getting a brand new story.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm pretty happy with that. I reckon that's a bumper year, especially we're in the second year of a pandemic, worldwide pandemic, and the fandom just seems to be getting stronger, which is phenomenal to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a lot more than we've had before to look at when we think about some of our favourite things. Steve, do you want to lead us down that path as we move to the second phase of the podcast?
This is one of my favourite things to do every year for this podcast, doing this podcast. But it's getting harder and harder every year with the absolute quality that is coming out. Now I'm going to have to minimise my screen because something's just been shared and I've lost my run sheet. There we go. So we're going to start off with the best non-Frew or Fantomen or Indian cover. And we could choose 2 covers each. Jerm, what have you chosen?
So this was one of them here, which was O Fantasma number 12 from Brazil, from the Mythos. I like the chicks ganging up in the Phantom and his guns drawn. It's just, they do some pretty cool covers out of Brazil, so I like that one. This was the other one that I liked as well, which was the French trade paperback one as well. Now, I think the skull gets overused a little bit sometimes, but I think this, it's iconic with the Phantom, with his arms crossed pose. He's got the anatomy is probably not the best, but I just like the pose and I just think it's pretty cool.
Very good. Fair enough then. I only chose 1 cover. I chose Comics Review number 9. This was the Dick Tracy issue that was mentioned earlier. I just like Mr. Walker and and Devil being at the party and helping to celebrate Dick Tracy's 90th birthday. The rest were all fine and all good. But if I want to be perfectly honest, I don't think that these non-Frew, non-Fantomen, non-Indian are at the same level as, well, particularly Frew.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement as well. What about you, Dan?
Oh, look, to be honest, and I hate being that person, but I didn't come up with an answer for this one because of what you've just said there, Stephen. I don't chase looking at these covers through the year, and I just ran out of time to do the research on this one. I'm going to have an answer for every other question tonight, I promise, Jim. But this one, I just don't follow the foreign comics well enough.
Yeah, it was a bit of research this morning for me on that one. I hadn't looked at it much. Mikael, he also thinks the same thing, that there's not much to choose from. He did put out the complete DC from Hermes. I did look at that, and I almost chose that one, but the reason why I didn't is because, well, it's an old cover.
See, that's
not really new. That's why I didn't put it up.
Yeah.
And his other one was O Phantasma, number 10, which is up on screen now.
I'm not sure the eagle-eyed listeners or the eagle-eyed readers or listeners will notice that this is kind of like a redone version of a gold key cover, and then they've added Chatu, or the Python, that's getting punched as well, which I actually thought was kind of cool.
So I saw that and I thought it was just a redone of that Charlton, and so I didn't bother about it. But yeah,
but no, it's the Python. It's the Python guy in there instead. So it's kind of clever, and yeah.
I guess that's is that homage or swipe or use? But that it is. That's what it is.
The word homage or homage. I think swipes can be a little bit ugly.
Yeah, it depends, doesn't it, whether it's been done deliberately or someone's trying to get away with something. It looks to me that they're paying tribute to the original in this one and showing respect to that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a homage.
I agree with you on that one.
And Ankit, he also chose the Hermes DC Volume 1, and he went with Cocker's issue number 7, which is up on screen now.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, it's obviously just a Cy Barry montage and collage and whatever, but yeah, I take the pink title banner off that and I'd put that on the wall as a poster for sure.
Some nice covers. So let's go to the best Frew covers that we have all voted for. Dan, do you want to tell us what your 3 were?
Yeah, so my first vote was for, well, actually, these are in no particular order. They're just my top 3. 1886, so Anthony Spay's Vultures cover. Well, his first of his 3 Vultures cover. I really did like the green in this one.
What I like about it is that all the faces are different.
Yeah.
That, like, for me, and at first I didn't notice that. It wasn't until I looked again and I'm like, oh, all the faces are different. And it gave me a higher, Stephen's having a look at it now, it gave me a higher appreciation for the amount of work and effort that Anthony put into this cover.
Yeah, yep. 1893 was another one I voted for, which is Luca Roberta's cover. The yellow based cover. I'm talking about backgrounds a lot, I know, but I really liked the way this stood out from the rest when I looked at the group, and just that unique and realistic art style that Alberta brings, and Paul Mason's cover for 1905 as well. The Vietnam scene, very powerful for mine. So those were my 3.
Stephen, what are yours, buddy?
Yep, I went with 1887. Which was another Vultures one. It's the half face. I'm sure I saw that one a while ago and just was very struck by it. So, is that Anthony Spay?
Yep.
So there's my vote for him. 1908. What was that cover again?
Christmas.
It's Christmas. Of course it was. I loved it. I thought that brought joy to me.
Yeah. It was
it's a good, fun cover. Santa sharing a milk with our mate the Phantom. It's 2 of the world's most famous milk drinkers having a blast. And for number 3, in no particular order, I went with Kid Phantom 10. I because I really just liked the way it was done using that circle. He's having a bit of a lounge around. But yeah, I just thought it was fun and relaxing. I didn't have a real reason for it. I just like the way it was set out.
Very good.
Some good choices. Okay, so we'll go with Mikael. So basically what we did is Ankit and Mikael are our regular contributors, and so they've contributed their favourites for all of these issues that we're going through as well. So for Mikael was this one, 1887, which was the half-half. 1889, which was the jumping out of the window.
Kripesky, Alex Tripp's, is that the Orient Express cover, part 1?
Yep, that's correct. And then his other one was the trade paperback number 4. Ankit. So we also asked Ankit. So his was this one, 1908, which is the Christmas special, same as Stephen. 1889, which jumping out of the window. So there's the same one as Mikael. And then 1907, which was this one here as well, of Alex Tripp's as well. So a lot of Alex Tripp. He's knocked it out of the park this year with the vampire. Now, for me, 1887, I just love the whole face-off dual personality. You've got, the Phantom, which is good. It's bright. You've got the Skull Cave. And then you've got the Evil, where it's dark and menacing. And then you've got the Vultures nest at the top. There's just a lot of symbolism. It's just, it's very clever. I like it. That will be a cover that I would love to own, that one. And then the other one is Alex Tripp, which is this one here. I just love the whole jumping through the window. Its action is dynamic. It's just, it really captures your imagination. The other thing that, and there's another cover which we'll talk about later as well. I love covers where there's that 3D effect and things go over the logo. So you've got the Phantom's hand going a bit over the logo. You've got this wooden beam going over the M and this shard of glass going over the P as well. It just adds for me, it adds an extra layer, an extra level of dynamicness to the cover. So that's what I like as well. And then same as you, Stephen, the Christmas cover. It's fun. For me, this is what a Christmas cover should be. It should be capturing people's attentions when it comes to Christmas time, Christmas stocking stuffers, presents for, that crazy uncle, that brother, that person that you don't know what to buy. And then it's like, oh, yeah, they mentioned the Phantom once. This is the type of comic that they will buy. So that's what makes it so special to me. Now, for those,
I'm really glad that you two guys have come on board with the Christmas special idea, Christmas cover.
Mate, I was always on board. I think
I don't think we ever disagreed with.
That's great.
It is. It's awesome.
Now, for those who are on YouTube, obviously you'll see the images as we are sharing them. But now what we're actually showing is the top 10 of the covers as voted by you, the public, the readers. So again, I appreciate everyone who's done that. We've had over 260, I think it was 265, 268 or something, people who voted, which is up from last year, I believe.
Yeah, 210 last year, so a significant increase this year, which is really great to see.
Yeah, so basically these are as voted by you. Now, this is important because Frew get all these results, and so then they know which covers people like, what they don't like, and stuff like that. So this is important for them.
It's pretty hard to say what they don't like. It was an absolute quality field the whole year through, and anyone who doesn't make the top 10 is just hard done by, because you're only missing out by 0.001%, really. Yeah. It's very close, and you got to pick 3. You're only allowed to pick 3, and and then sometimes it's just blind Freddy just going bang bang bang, because well done to every single cover artist who's done a cover for Frew this year. They are brilliant.
No worries. So
I'm going to run through them, but just for people's awareness, you can see this list on the website.
yes,
We'll make sure that the link to that website is in the show notes for this one. So you can just, if you're listening to this as a podcast, you can jump on and scroll through the webpage and see the top 10 list as we talk about it.
Yep. So in first place was by Daniel Picciardo, which was for the 4th trade paperback. So huge congratulations to him. Now I think it was the top 6 or 7 was basically alternating the whole month that this was this poll was live for. So so it was very, very close. In 2nd, 3rd, and 4th was Alex Tripp. So congratulations for hogging the podium, so to speak. In 2nd spot was 1889, which was the jumping through the glass panel. 3rd spot was 1907, which was the
Dracula.
The Dracula with the hands on the fan.
Nosferatu, sorry, not Dracula, Nosferatu.
Yes.
Number 4 was 1894, which was the Rhodian story cover with the Phantoms.
Rhodian column.
Yeah.
Rhodium column. Number 5 was 1896 by Jeff Weigel, which was the Rotten Apples issue. 6 was 1905 from Paul Mason, which was his larger 20-page Vietnam story.
Just a shot away.
Equal 7th was 1892 by Matt Kyme, which was the Diana and the Heartbreakers tribute issue, I guess you can call it. And then 1903, which was Jermayn McPherson, which is that the Golden Cage?
It'd have to be.
Yeah. The one that we discussed, I'm sure, about the editing of the helicopter. So yeah, that's the probably the surprise for me. And I know we'll have a quick commentary on this as well. But yeah, when we talked about it, you wouldn't have expected then that it was going to feature top 10.
No, I would have to agree with you on that one. No disrespect, it was just
No, exactly.
So 9th was the Christmas cover from Glenn Lumsden, which was 1908. And then equal 10th was 1887, which was the face-off dual face one by Anthony Spay. And then 1899, which was from Grange Wallace as well. I can't remember the story for that.
Was that the man with the silver nose? Or was that last year?
I think
That's the story, but which issue was it?
1899.
Oh, yep, it's the Thunderstorm one.
Yeah. Any out of there that kind of, apart from Jeremy, which we've all kind of talked about, which was 1903, anything that you want to quickly make mention of before we move on?
I'm glad Grange got in the top 10. He was probably the one I was flipping up between Kid Phantom 10 and Grange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was hard only choosing 3.
Oh,
Yeah, it really was.
wish we could choose the top 10. Then that would be hard.
It's worth saying that for Daniel Picciardo's trade paperback cover, it's interesting that we talked about not voting for the DC because you've seen that cover before. And I know it hasn't been used as a cover of a book before, but we've seen that image floating around for a couple of years now. The one that has won the competition or won the poll here, right from the days of when the Kickstarter was going for the Phantom card game. And I can't remember for the life of me now, but it was, I think the original art for it was one of the
pledge levels,
wasn't it?
Yes.
So whoever pledged for that at the time, it's a canny investment because that cover's not only been well received on the board game, but has gone on to be cover of the year for 2021 as organised by Chronicle Chamber.
Stephen, anything you want to add?
Well done, Daniel, and yes, once again, congratulations to Frew for getting these guys in to do such a wonderful job. It's absolute credit to the team. Jeff Weigel
and Anthony Spay, they're the only 2 non-Australians.
So there you go. We do like pumping up our Aussies.
Yeah.
And the next few, we've got Antonio Lemos, Jason Paulos, Paul Mason, Luca Roberta. They come in just outside the top 10. And
honourable mentions.
All rightio. So Dan, we're going to be going over to you to cover the next section.
Very good. So we're going to talk about the best Fantomen cover. Now you'll drive the screen as we go here, Jerm, I know. But probably the person most well placed to have an opinion would be Mikael, given that this is his local comic, so to speak. And so he's sent in his selections. He's gone for one from very early in the year. So do I need to keep filling?
Yeah, I'm just okay.
Yep, very good. So he's gone from one for very early in the year, issue 2, 3. Which you can see there. I have that very minimized. So I did select it myself as well. Cover 21, which is the Claes Ramerthi tribute cover, which I think is going to be very popular. And also issue 25, 26 was Mikael's final choice. And that's the one with the Singh Brotherhood symbol and various scenes coming through, with obviously the Phantom through the center of that. Ankit has sent through his as well. He's gone for issue 1, which is the hero and Phantom riding through a lightning storm. Issue 14, 15. And as Germ scrolls through for me.
Try to find it 14, 15. There we go.
That's right. That I was considered that one too. Actually, I really like that. The red background and the Phantom silhouette jumping through was quite striking, I thought. And issue number 8 was the last of Ankit's top 3.
That one,
and you can see that one there.
It's real different. 2 real different covers. You got the bright red one, and then you got a dark, gory one from Ankit. So it's just it's interesting that he's chosen 2 contrasting covers there.
Yeah, I mentioned 2, 3 there before, Jim. Sorry to spoil it, but I see you have it as one of your top 3. You want to bring it up and tell us why?
Okay, so this was this was 2, 3. This is 2, 3 here. For me, I like the angle. I like the Phantom and Heloise fighting together. This is from the 22nd Saga, so this is the 3rd part that they've published last year, which the Frew readers haven't seen yet. And there's a huge twist or huge story plot in it that I'm excited to read in a Frew comic. I really like this issue, so it grabs my attention. Now the other ones is, where is it? Sorry, this one here. Now, as we did our story,
number 13.
This is number 13. When we did our New Year's resolution story reviews, I did the Jungle Patrol story.
Yeah.
Now I really enjoy that story, which you probably would have known if you listened to or watched that video. But the other reason why I like this cover is because I actually own that original artwork as well. I actually brought that from Lyck last year. And one of the other reasons why I like it is he included about 10 or 15 sketches of other ideas featuring these 3 characters, and it was really cool getting an insight into his work and then how it originally became like this. So I really enjoy this cover. I know this will be Anthony Gillies, one of his favorite covers as well. And that's purely because he reckons he knows the reason why the Phantom has got that grin on his face and why his wife has that look of horror on her face. But we will keep this podcast PG. And of course, the other one that I like is the Claes Ramerthi. The gold gilting, the fact that it featured Claes riding into it's such a good cover, and Henrik Solstrom has knocked and has gone to a new level in the production of this cover.
Yeah, just look while you've got it up there, and Steve, I know you've got this as one of your top 3 as well. So we'll just talk with maybe all 3 of us, because I do. What did you like about this one, Steve?
Well, it reminded me a bit of the old. I remember the Lee Falk issue where they had Lee there and Fannin and Mandrake kind of like bowing down, I think, or in
Siberian image.
Yeah. Where this one, whether you like all the stories or not, Claire Murphy has done an absolute gargantuan effort in the amount of stories that he has written, and so put him in the Chronicle with all the stories. I'm assuming it's all the stories behind him. The fan looking over his shoulder, looking pleased with the work that he's done. I just thought it was a nice way to sum up his career and pay respect to someone who has had such a impact on the way the fandom has grown over the last however many years.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that the way that the editors have actually composed the cover shows a lot of respect to Ramathy as well. They've really highlighted the image, the fact that the Phantom title and even the story titles blend into the background. It's a very clean image, and I think that they've shown great respect to the art by doing that, and to the man.
You raised a good point, Stephen, where when Lee Falk died, they did it and they were all sad. And we're all sad and stuff, but it's almost like a celebration of Clace's legacy, and I like that touch where it's like, let's celebrate the man. There's a time to be sad and stuff, but let's celebrate what he's done for the legacy of the Phantom. And I really enjoyed that touch.
Yeah, it's like the Phantom saying, "Yeah, good job, mate. Well done."
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, what were your other favourites from Team Fantomen this year, Steve?
Another one I had was number 9. What was number 9? Yes, I like the look of it in behind the skull. I just thought that was striking. Something I hadn't really seen before. So I tipped that one because of its uniqueness. And the other one I think I picked was the Sing symbol.
Yes.
Yeah. So I agree with Mikael on that one. And yeah.
Yeah, I like that one too, but couldn't find room for it in my top 3. I also voted for 2-3, which is one Jerm already talked about with Kit and Heloise running toward the viewer. Really like the action in that one. And 18-19 is one that no one else has mentioned. That's right, the Phantom with his hands tied above his head in a lightning storm. Just the stripped down nature of that image. There's not so many things like going on. It's just one clear moment, and I really like that. One thing I did want to say about the team or the Fantomen covers, though, is that they're all quite busy when you compare them to something like a Frew. Frew really just has the banner at the top, and rarely will even put the words across the image itself down below. Team Fantomen stories or the Fantomen covers do get quite busy with those extra things, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then they've got the stories, and last year there was a few with the wrong credits on the front as well. So maybe if they got rid of that, there's one less thing for them to have to check.
You don't have to check it if you don't put it on, and I think it probably looks better as a piece of art on the newsstand. But who knows? Different cultures, maybe and I know that Fantomen does also have non-Phantom stories in it too, so that's probably what they're advertising there. Anyway,
the barcode on the front's not really nice either.
Well, it was certainly the fans in Australia were very pleased when Frew put their barcodes on the back.
Yes.
I have a striking memory of them wrecking, I think, the cover for the Sing the Brotherhood reprint that they did, because it was an awesome image, and front and center bottom was the barcode, and it just spoiled the balance of the whole thing. Anyway.
Okay, we move over to the Indian covers now. So Ankit, being our resident Indian contributor, actually had no comments. He's actually written no comments, so I'm unsure.
I wonder why. Could it be because he doesn't want to vote for his own?
that could be it.
Half the covers, so I think that's probably fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. And Mikael has gone for numbers 12 and 21. Which number is up on the screen at the moment there?
Okay, so this is 12. I think we all went 12.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I liked it because it's, again, what we talked about the Clace Ramathy one is it's iconic. It highlights the Phantom. It celebrates his legacy. It's got that magical type of element, like, you know, him being the puppeteer or the marionette, and, you know, juggling the variations of the Phantom. There's a great post on our website from Chronicle Chamber, written by Ankit, where he talks about why he chose each of these images. And so, you know, I think Ankit, this was one of his very first covers. He set the bar very high very early on with this cover, and he's got the daunting task of making sure his covers are continually in that upward projection, and it's going to be hard with this as one of your first covers.
And what was your other cover, Jam?
Okay, so my other one was number 19, which was, I'm just waiting for the computer to catch up. Went back one. This one here. Now, again, when I said I liked things over the logos, one of the ties is the O in Phantom. For me, I just like that thing because it kind of adds, again, as I said before, it adds depth. It adds like the 3D element, and it just, it's just clever. So purely that's because of that flying wheel is the reason why that's my second favorite for the year. I know it sounds silly, but I think it shows someone who's showing care about the way they do their covers
And getting the title to interact with the image.
Yeah,
I like that one, but I didn't pick it. I picked 12, of course, as we've all said. And number 13 was my other one, which was this. I thought this kind of like had an Indiana Jones type feel to it, like in a Lost Temple. I can't remember what the story was, but yeah, I like that feel of it. Is this another? I didn't realize that Ankit was doing the covers. I should read Chronicle Chamber more often. Did he do this one?
It's a really good website. No, this is Vincent, who was in our Chronicle Chamber. Well, it was his first published Phantom work.
Oh, well done, Vincent. I liked it. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, 16. If you want to flip over to that one for me, Germ, I didn't mind 16. Just enjoyed the. It's a little bit cartoony, I guess, the depiction of the twins. It's been a while since we've seen them as kids, and it's interesting to see. The depictions that come out of India, because they are, of course, reprinting daily and Sunday stories. So they're at a different time in their fandom journey than I guess the we are, with Frew and seeing Fantomen producing so many new stories, and Indian fans not seeing those. So yeah, I just enjoyed the novelty value, if you like, of seeing the twins at the young age again. And if you can flick back to issue 12 for me, Germ, just to speak on that one, the Leaf Orc tribute issue. I just love the respect that was shown to the creator and all of the apples that fell from the tree, if you like. And certainly Leaf Orc would probably never have envisaged or written Phantom 2040 himself, for instance. But all of the ideas that flowed out of the seed that he planted. So I really, really like that. And the way it was depicted with the bubbles and the various sizes came together really well.
Very good. All right. And so now, hand over to you now, Jam, to lead us in the best rider. Or you want to talk about the cover still?
No, what did Mikael choose?
Didn't I do that?
No.
12 and 21.
And 21 is this one. This one was done
yes.
by Ankit as well.
Yeah.
And again, maybe I should have chosen that one because he's got the head over the P.
What is that? Is that like some sort of sea monster or something?
Any creators who are listening who want Germ's vote for best artist or cover artist of next year, just throw something in front of the title banner.
That's it.
It's an easy vote from Germ.
That's it.
Okay, so this is the unenviable task of trying to pick the best writer. And Germ's going to lead us in this one.
Yeah, now the best writer, it's a hard one because there's new stories, reprint stories, new stories from around the world. So I think this is probably going to be one that I think for me, and I think all of us actually had Closer and Meafy as our number one.
No,
Not our number one, but in the top two. Stephen, no, you didn't do it. You only chose one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because I chose 4.
You've chosen about half a dozen.
So now I chose Close. Now, yeah, there's stories that I didn't like, but the 22nd Sagas, 22nd Phantom Saga, amazing. The what is it? The
Nosferatu.
Yeah, Revenge. Really enjoyed that story as well. So he, even up until his retirement and sadly his passing, he was still at the top of his game. And the 22nd Phantom Saga, I'm looking forward to seeing the next crop of stories which come out. And so I'm really looking forward to that. Now, the next one, I also enjoyed the Golden Cage as well. That was the other one that Closer and Meafy did. Now, the next one's a bit of a tie. Now, it might seem like I'm just like trying to hedge my bets and please all of these creators, which I do have.
What do you mean, all of these creators? You've only got one more choice left. What are you talking about?
So, equal second, I have Duncan, and I'm sure Duncan's probably going to kill me for including that photo of him.
Duncan's very thin.
Yeah.
Being held on the arms of the Phantom there.
Matt Kyme, I really enjoyed the Diana story. It's just such a great tribute. It's it brings back good childhood memories when I read those stories. And then Paul Mason as well. Now, seriously, and if you're a creator on there and I'm using a photo that you don't like, don't put it on Facebook. That's all I'll say. So they're the ones that I kind of like. I'll just go through Mikael. Mikael was Closer and Meafy, as we said before. And then the other one that he liked was Eternity Paul as well. Now, he doesn't have a Facebook page, so it's a little bit harder for me to steal photos of Tony D. Paul. For Ankit, he had Closer and Meafy as well. And the other one he had was Duncan. And just for the record, Duncan is the person dressed up as the Phantom in this photo as well.
The other one for our international audience is Sammy J.
Yes.
The title song of this podcast.
Yeah. So again, if you're only listening to us on audio and you're wondering what we're giggling about, basically we're showing photos as we're talking and stuff like that. So jump over to YouTube as well. Okay, Dan, what about you?
Yeah, I went with Tony DePaul as my first choice because he leads the way as far as I'm concerned, and the depth to which he thinks about what he's doing is just remarkable. And for him to be in a real sweet spot of writing, I think, 20 plus years into producing the daily and the Sunday strip, I think is a real credit to the man. I really enjoy the stories he's putting together, and it's interesting. It's always interesting. You never know which way it's going to jump, and we still don't as we go. So that I love his work. Closer and Meafy, I've nominated as my second. That may be a historical vote as much as anything, because as Steve said when we were talking about him earlier, the output of the man, you've got to fully respect the work that he did from the 80s through, and so many remarkable stories. And not all of them I agree with, not all of them I enjoy, but you can say the same about any author. And the stories that you mentioned earlier, Jen, when you were talking about him, were all good stories, and well put together and all the rest of it. So worthy writer of the year. I do want to give a shout out to Peter Anderson. If you can have a 4 people finishing in second place, I can have an honourable mention. And Peter, I think, for the Saga of the Vultures trilogy, was a real breath of fresh air at the start of the year, and was something we really enjoyed. And perhaps, anyway, I wanted to give him a shout out, and I know he's got some other stories coming through, and looking forward to reading more of them.
Yeah, and he has promised to be on the podcast as well. So I'm looking forward to talking to him.
Well, if you can't squeeze him into your top 17, I don't know what.
Everyone's comedian tonight. What about you, Stephen?
Well, I've gone the other way, and rather than having like a top 5 to put into 2, I've only got the one, and that's Paul Mason. Everyone else is a very close second. Maybe there's one or two who might be a third. But and that's not dissing anybody else, because I reckon everyone's done an absolute stellar job. But what I liked about Paul Mason was, of course, the Vietnam story, and talking with him about it, just through Messenger and what have you. And I'm sure every artist does this, but this was something that I'm learning as I read the comic. And it's not forcing me, but leading me to go and learn something more that there's an important part of history that I don't know enough about. And so that, and within all that, he's intertwined this really fantastic story that doesn't make the Phantom in control of the situation, or, the Phantom's not making history happen. History is happening around the Phantom. He just happens to be there, and he's doing his actions. He's not, a Time Lord changing the course of history. History's happened, and his adventure is just coinciding with it. And I think the way that not only he's writing the story, and this is what gets the vote, but he's also, as he's writing it, he knows exactly how it's going to look, because he's the one that's going to be doing the art as well. So so Paul, you've got my top vote for best writer of 2021. Everyone else, absolutely phenomenal job. Turning to Paul, keeps us guessing with his daily. I'm trying to figure out what's happening next. Duncan, I love Rotten Apples. It was a really fun story. I'm going to say the wrong thing. The story that was in the Giant Size Scorpius, that
Foley.
Yep, excellent. You could say any writer, and I can say good things about them. But I'm going to put Paul on top of the list today.
Well, Paul, I hope you enjoyed that absolute love-in from Stephen there. Well deserved, but I think it's time that we leave the Paul Mason love-in, Steve, and start talking instead about your favourite story artist for 2022.
Well, we're not going to leave anything. It's just going to be right there. It's Paul again. so we are talking about the artists now, and I want to know, Steve, who are you going for Paul for the artist as well? Yeah, I've gone Paul Mason once again for best artist. I really like his work. It's different than everybody else's. That's what makes it stand out for me. And well, I've already built him up, and I'll keep building him up, because I think he's a stellar creator, and I hope to see more of his work in 2022. I can't get enough of it. I love it. All right, so you're allowed a top two? Yeah, we're allowed top two in this one. I've actually given two on this one. And my second one is Mike Manley. The reason for it is because, unlike a lot of other artists who have got like a whole page to work with in a comic book, he's got a little rectangle that he's got to work with for every single day, or every part of the story. And the way he's able to make that pop in different ways, and change the perspective, and change the way that the frames can be within those restrictions, I think has got to be applauded. And I've really liked the way that his Phantom has developed over these last however many years it's been now. I own some of his work too, so I'm biased that way. But yeah, I really like what he's been able to do with the daily strip, and not just the daily strip. I think he's a phenomenal artist. So, and I think all of them are. But because of the restrictions that he has, I'm giving him my other spot. So
now,
well done.
I've included this photo because these are the two assistants that help him out as well. So I wanted to give them a bit of a shout out in Zhang and Mimi as well. So that's the reason why I included this photo. Very good.
Well, Jerm, we might jump straight to you. And what were your two favourite story artists for 2021?
Okay, this is actually Janice Alden. Looks like a cool cat, doesn't he? It
was Tom Cruise for a moment. The Terminator.
I really enjoy his work. And just like a lot of the stories that I've enjoyed, like whether it's 22nd Phantom, Nostradamus' Revenge, they're all created by Janice. It's just I like his style. It works well in color, but it also works well in black and white for the Frew comic. And there's a lot of artists find that hard to make it work for both both mediums, and he does a great job. He's a nice bloke. I've talked to him via emails a couple of times as well, so I'm really happy. Really happy with his work. I hope we see more of his work. And the other one is Anthony Spay. He's been on our podcast as well, so if you want to learn more about him, go jump on our back catalogue. I really enjoyed the Revenge of the Vultures story, which was written by Pity Anderson and drawn by Anthony Spay as well. He's also a Frew, so he's a Frew artist, but he's also a Team Fantomen artist as well. So, again, he can draw black and white, but also for colour as well. Some of these Team Fantomen stories are quite good as well. I'm looking forward to us hopefully getting some of those next year as well.
So Mikael also went for Anthony Spay and James Auden, the same as yourself. I'm sure he'd have many similar reasons. Ankit, Mitra, went for Anthony Spay as well, but he also picked Jean Boyce as one of his favourite artists, and that's an unusual, it must be a self-portrait that you've brought up for us there, Jim,
yes.
Of Jean, the Spanish artist. Myself, I went for Paul Mason for very similar reasons to what Stephen has said. I guess when I thought of this one, I particularly thought of best story artist, and I guess that means for me an artist who is doing a lot of heavy lifting with the story as well, and all artists do. I don't want to sound too much like Steve and be sycophantic to everybody, but to get a published story, then you've absolutely got to be telling the story as the artist as well. But Paul, I think, is someone who does that exceptionally well, probably because he's writing it at the same time and he knows how he wants to communicate it, and a lot of it does come through the artwork. And Jeff Weigel was my other one. Again, I guess similar, Steve, to what you said about the daily, the challenge of being constrained by the daily. I know the Sunday probably got a little bit more room to move. Jeff doesn't tend to break up panels and that sort of stuff and use, similar to what we've seen Eduardo Barreto, for instance, in the past, or Jeff Nolan.
Terry Beattie.
Graham Nolan, that's what I'm thinking.
Graham Nolan, yeah.
Sorry. Seen them do that in the past, but he works with just the panels, the straight rectangular panels for the most part. But I really like what he's bringing in terms of telling stories about the tribes, the attire that the girls are wearing in the city as they head off in the current story. All of those little touches, and he has demonstrated in Rotten Apples, for instance, that he can obviously also do those zany full splash pages and breaking out of the regular shape of his panels. So Jeff Weigel was the other one who got my vote there.
And not to mention how he does those little unique title panels as well, which he's not every, and this is no disrespect, but not every Phantom artist gets to leave a lasting impression. But I think if Jeff ever moves on, whoever's going to be doing the Sunday will very likely want to continue that tradition of the unique title panels, because it gives them something unique to do as well. So, and it's, I remember when he first started doing it, there was a past artist who actually went, "Oh, that is a very cool idea. I wish I'd done that."
Yeah.
So no, it's a good choice.
Yeah. All right. So we wanted to talk about the best story published by Frew. Steve, I'll hand over that one to you. This is another one that we had a vote on.
Yeah, so like you said, this is one that the public voted on. We'll get to those results very soon. So here we could pick our top three. It's probably not going to be any surprise, given the Paul Mason loving that I just did the last two sessions, that I've put the Phantom and Nam series at number one. I'm going to put that number one. Usually I don't say 1, 2, or 3, but I'm going to put that one number one. The others can be equal second if you like. And it's there for all the reasons that I've already said. My second choice, or my second of my group of three, is the Vultures series. Now, I used all the Vultures stories in this as one whole. I enjoyed reading these Vulture stories. I think it might have been last year or the year before, and we're discussing what type of villains would we like to see the Phantom meet again. I said the Vultures, and in 2021, our wishes were granted, and we saw plenty of Vultures stories.
I think it was in our top 2. I think the Vultures were in our top 2 ultimate Phantom villains in all of us who were on that podcast.
Yeah. So it was great to see them come back and the Phantom battling with them once more. For a little while there, I thought they're going to probably oversaturate us with Vulture stories. So I'm glad they cut off after a while. Otherwise, not another bloody Vulture story.
It almost got to that, didn't it?
It almost got there, but I'm glad it did. So the Vultures series as a whole, even if they weren't interconnected, I'm putting them next. And Rotten Apples, of course, by the one and only Duncan Munro, which was the conclusion of his 3-part series. And it's just been a fun series, this one. Been plenty of political intrigue and what's going on, with nice bits of humour thrown in as well. Before we move on to our other live podcasters here, we've got Mikael, who also had the Saga of the Vultures in his top 3, Diana and the Heartbreaker Gang, and of course Rotten Apples as well. So I'm moving too quick for the
and sorry, my phone started to go flat.
If you're watching YouTube, you're
really trying to find a charger while you were talking.
Well, while he finds a charger, we've still got Duncan's image up there. But Ankit, he went with Saga of the Vultures, Rotten Apples, and Nest of the Undead. So the Vultures and Duncan have made it into, well, 3 of our...
there's Nest of the Undead.
There we are. 3 of our top 3 so far. While we wait for Germ, Dan, what have you got for us?
Well, actually, Rotten Apples is just a given. So I'm not having that in my top 3. Although, of course, it obviously should be, and we've talked about it with you other guys having chosen it. The Saga of the Vultures is another one that everyone has mentioned, and I loved it for all the reasons that has been said. I've been unfair to Rotten Apples. The writing is so good. I've mentioned the artwork already, but the writing of Duncan's is really crisp, and he really gets the Phantom. He knows the Phantom. He is the Phantom. We've seen the picture already. So anyway, I love the way he writes his stories, and it'll be interesting to see, because that was the conclusion of the Prince Rex trilogy, if you like. So it'll be interesting to see if Duncan produces any more.
If you follow us on social media, you will know the answer to that, because he has a story in the next annual.
Well, there you go. Well, I look forward to it then. Just a short away, you've mentioned the Phantom in Nam series, so I'll just that is in my top 3. I really like that as a standalone story, and I just love the way that you can go read back and read his stories 2-3 times and pick up more each time you read it. And the Lolongo Forest was the story in the Christmas special. Sorry, the Tony DeBall, Jeff Weigel story in the Christmas special. Really enjoyed particularly the first half of the Lolongo Forest, because it was very much a jungle story. Phantom's traveling around and needs to hunt down a wounded lion. Like, it harks back to fantastic Cy Barry Lee Falk and Wilson McCoy, the Limper. It harkens back to another age of Phantom comics, and I really loved that part of the story. I also really enjoyed the way that Tony, in particular with his writing, but also with the artwork, but particularly with the writing, you can really see the difference in the way that hunt takes place, and the difference in the interactions between the Phantom and the tribespeople. It's really well done for 2021 to be able to write that story in a different world, in a different era. And then the second half of it is a little bit more horrific, I suppose, in the true sense of the word horror comics, but it is part of that journey that we're on with the current Phantom, the 21st, finding about his place in the legacy of the Phantoms. And it's just part of that ongoing story arc that Tony DePaul is controlling so well.
In the episode 200 100, I believe it was, when we talked with Mike. This story was actually one of his highlights because he got to draw skeletons, and he had to draw them in a way that they could be longish in a horizontal panel. And so he talked about how he really enjoyed the challenge of doing that as well. So it's a good choice.
I think that's one of the reasons why I put Mike in my story artist, because of that sort of reason. What about you, Jerm? What are your top three?
Okay, I had the same. Sorry about that, everyone. I've had the same as Mikael. Now, I can't actually remember who put their options down first, but it was kind of funny that we all kind of had the same. So mine was Rotten Apples, like everyone else. For me, what makes this stand out was the fact that, Dan, I think you said that Duncan gets the Phantom. For me, there was those old jungle sayings, there was those little tropes, those Phantom elements that were saturated, that were on such a high level in this story that to be able to include those, you have to be a Phantom fan. And it showed to me, and it made for me, the importance of our secret project that we're working on at the moment, to be able to hopefully create more stories like this where it can help creator teams to be able to include those tropes like old jungle sayings and stuff like that. And it's important. It's important for geeks and fans with a PH like us, who get all giddy and silly when we read stuff like that. And it's important because it helps us stay connected to our hero. So that's one of the reasons for me. The other one was Diana and the Heartbreakers game. Really enjoyed this story. Really enjoyed the podcast that we did with Matt Kyme and Shane Foley. It's kind of like, and there's a generational difference between them, and I hope Shane does not mind me making mention of that. But they're cut from the same cloth, Matt and Shane. They're, I'm not sure if it's sayings popular elsewhere, but they're almost, what is it, brothers from another mother or something like that. Listening to them talking, it's like, they get giddy over the same stories and over the same little things like the Phantom going through the window, which you will see here. And you could, it's almost like, like the same mold that God created Shane Foley with. He used a lot of it to create Matt Kyme with as well, and they're like a perfect match. And it was fun reading the story, but it was just as much fun talking to them on the podcast. And I hope our listeners had as much fun listening or watching them on the podcast with their bromance going on and stuff like that. It was really, really fun. And I look forward to the next collaboration between the two as well. And then, what was my third one? Oh, Saga of the Vultures as well, for all the reasons that you made mention. But it gave us an origin story of the Vultures, which I think's key because they could be a very good villain of the Phantom. So that's what I liked about them as well.
Okay.
Can I just add an honourable mention, Steve?
If you'd like.
And it's a weird sort of an honourable mention because it was never going to be in my top three, but I want to give a shout out to Forever by Andrew Constant and Massimo Gimberi, because I thought that was a really brave story to publish. And it was challenging for lots of people, but it was also really interesting in a completely different take of the Phantom than we've probably ever seen before. So I think we were all on the fence at the time. I'm still not sure whether I like it or not, but it's a story that is stuck in my mind, and if only for that, it's got to be in consideration for something you remember.
I think it's good to be challenged like that, and it's not challenged with, like, sometimes we've been challenged in the past of stories like, the Phantom hooking up with various women and stuff like that, which we won't get into that argument, but it's not our Phantom. But this is still our Phantom, so it pays respect to who the Phantom is, but it still makes us question what we think the Phantom is and stuff like that. And so I think Andrew has done a great job in the fact that he's been able to respect our Phantom, but he's made us question. And I think it's good sometimes that we can question and sit on the fence and not sure where we go.
I think that might have been the start of the discussion about what makes the Phantom. Was it this story, or had we already thought about it beforehand?
It's all. I think we've been talking about it for about 209 episodes, Steve.
That's probably right. Okay, moving on to what you picked as your best overall story published by Frew. So there's no surprise. Number one is Rotten Apples, with the top vote there by Duncan and Jeff. Number two was Rise of the Red Dragon by Dale Maccanti and Jason Paulos.
This was interesting.
Okay, interesting in that it's an old story that was published in a couple of years ago and then was redone in the trade paperback, so it gets another Guernsey.
Yeah, I like the story. It wasn't personally in my top three. It would have been in my top 5, top 10 quite easily. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it being number 2, but it's just interesting.
Okay. Number 3, we have the Orient Express, which has been mentioned with its cover, and also had the Vultures in it. Number 4, Dana and the Heartbreaker Gang. Number 5, Nosferatu's Revenge. Now, I think James got his hand up saying that he picked this to be in the number 5. I thought it was a great story, but top 5, okay, I'll be happy to be proven wrong.
We've heard Dan say that I'm, along the lines that I'm always right. So now it's your turn, Stephen.
No, I'm just happy to be proven wrong. However, you also notice it never made any of my top 3s in this whole episode. That's probably that top 5, yeah, maybe top 10, definitely. It was a very good story, very good issue. Life's Blood. What was that one? I don't remember that one.
It's a short story in the Christmas special.
Oh, rightio.
I find that really interesting that's 6th place, because it's only a 6-page story by Dean Rankin, who. Oh,
yeah, I'm looking at the right screen. I didn't see if I saw the creative team behind. I would have remembered which one it was.
Yeah. So Dean, obviously the author of the Simpsons comics, is probably what he's most known for. And illustrated by Jeremy McPherson. Another little full pager that he's done.
I like the colours. I like the story, and I remember we discussed this on the podcast. And sorry to hijack your top 10, Stephen, which I've done a fair bit of it. Before this came out, we actually talked about, I wonder what direction they're going to be going with the fact that there's no Heart of Darkness. And I like how this is Dean Rankin, so he's also an artist as well. This is his first Phantom story foray, and I think we all kind of agreed that it'll be a good testing ground or nursery for new creators. And I think this shows that there is potential in using these short stories as a nursery for new creators.
And if you want to see some of his art, I'm pretty sure he submitted something in for the Bushfire book. Number 7, we've got Saga of the Vultures, which has been spoken about already. Number 8 is the Rhodian column, which I'll speak about probably in the next couple of sections. Number 9, the Poor People's Plague. That's a Jason Paulos story, if I remember correctly, if I'm looking at the right thing. Yep, Jason Paulos. Number 10, the Mysterious Ambassador. That sounds like an old one there. Lee Falkenside Barry. So we've got a 3-way tie story for 10th position. It Ain't Me, which is part of the Vietnam series by Paul Mason. And rounding out our top 10 is The Phantom of 1776, which was just recently published, and that's by Don Newton. Got a couple very close in. It's Just a Shot Away, The Reel of the Grey Malkin, Have You Ever Seen the Rain, Pirates of the Red Dragon, Tale of Devil, Triumph of Evil also get a bit of a, they're just outside the top 10. What do you reckon, boys? A strong field there?
It is.
Yeah, I'm probably shares Jermayn's surprise that he expressed earlier that Rise of the Red Dragon polled so well. I think it was, and you may have mentioned it topped our count in 2019 or 2018 when it first came out. And so for it to finish second, the second time it was printed so shortly afterwards is a surprise. But well done to Dale and Jason for that story. It's an unfair contest in it, isn't it, in a way, when you look at Life's Blood, little 4-page story finishing sixth, and the Saga of the Vultures, which is a 3-issue trilogy, finishes seventh. And how can a little 4-pager be up against something? But anyway, it's interesting to see what people enjoyed. A couple of the little shorts with It Ain't Me also finishing in the top 10 is good to see. But just a variety. I think it shows that people, the fact that even a Lee Falk and Cy Barry or a Don Newton story are going to finish in the top 10 goes to show that people like the variety of stories. It's not all just about fresh and new as well.
And that's the greatest thing about Frew. It's absolute variety.
Yeah. So, because I think in the poll, in the voting that we did, it was the top 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, people could choose their top 5.
I chose The Mysterious Ambassador as one of my 5.
Yeah, there you go.
Just, one of my all-time favourite stories. I was kind of glad. It's like, 5, sweet. I'm going to include that. And I was able to include some other stories as well.
Actually, I think I put Tale of Devil in there as well in my votes.
Mm.
Moving on to Jermayn, you're going to give us the Fantomen.
Obviously, seeing the rest of us can't actually read the stories, we've only included Mikael's votes, but we wanted to include it in our best of 21. So he has chosen this story here, which is this is the Talons of the Vultures, which is the English translation of this, but it's part of the 22nd Phantom Saga. Now, I've only included this because I didn't want to give too much of the storyline away for those who actually have not yet read it. So the other one was Nosferatu's Revenge, which also featured quite highly in the Frew poll as well. And it was interesting, not often in the last probably 5 years has Frew published stories in the same year as Team Fantomen as well. So that was a rather nice, interesting surprise. And then this is the other top 3 that he had, which was the 1000th Team Fantomen story, which is the True Singh Brotherhood, which features Sala, Sandal Singh, and some stuff as well. And we've talked about the cover, which had the big circle with the Phantom in it, and there's little 7 or 6 circles around it as well. So they were Mikael's top 3 Fantomen stories. Now his top Fantomen comic for the year, it was the same one, which was the True Singh Brotherhood, and this is actually a digital copy of like a digital version of the issue. So this is his favorite issue of the year. So this is the story. I'll just flick through a little bit, by Janice Auden again. That's a great image there. So it was 100 pages. It features multiple stories, multiple issues, multiple stories, and some nice, cool, editorials and stuff as well. So we'll move over to the best overall best Indian story published. So again, seeing we don't really have the stories, we have asked Ankit, who's our Indian correspondent, to help us with this one. And he chose this one, which is the return of Colonel Weeks, which was a really fun story. I really enjoyed this story. This featured Colonel Weeks coming back. It also featured Captain Weeks, which is his grandson, as well. So that's a great story and highly recommended if you have not managed to dig this out. And it's also by the late Paul Ryan as well. So, and then we also asked Ankit on the overall best Indian issue, which featured that story, which was Regal issue number 20. And I'll just quickly show that before I hand it back over to the other guys. And this is the issue here. So this is number issue, the Christmas edition for 2021. It's got a bit of a crossover with the Phantom and Mandrake, and then also Colonel Weeks as well. So it's a nice combination of stories, and the fact that it features Mandrake, the Phantom, and a crossover. And then also where we get to see Colonel Weeks. And in that story, interesting enough, we actually find out the real reason why Colonel Weeks retired from the Jungle Patrol, which was never explored by Lee Falk. So, Dan, do you want to take over from the next bit, please?
Yeah, sure. So having done the best Swedish issues and the best Indian issues, we want to have a look at the best Australian issues. And I guess this is the last opportunity that the regular pundits had to have a say in the poll. And we'll come to everybody's favourite, or the top 10 issues from Frew in a moment. We'll go through ours, though, to begin with. This is one, and I mentioned earlier when you asked, Jerm, are we bringing the ones that we actually voted for? It was when I wrote these down this morning, I thought, oh, did I vote for those? Anyway, I have, and I'll stick with them because they're all good issues. So in no particular order, 1886, which was part one of the Saga of Vultures story, as well as the It Ain't Me filler. I voted for that one because, well, how could I not? I've put the cover as one of my top three covers. I've had the Saga of the Vultures as one of my top three stories. And I've had Paul Mason as one of my top three. Well, we all have everything. So it's a really good, solid, regular issue of a story, a comic book that you just enjoyed from cover to cover. Also had 1894, the Radiant column. This is probably the one that surprised me. I like the cover, and the Radiant column is a really good story as well. And I've already talked about how much I love Tony DePaul's writing, and that probably feeds into my third favourite issue of the year. And this probably is my absolute favourite issue of the year, which is 1908, the Christmas special, because it's just so good to have. I enjoy reading the daily and the Sunday stories through the year, but through day by day. But having them compiled as a comic book, you get so much more out of the story, and I certainly get a lot richer experience for the story reading through it. So I really love these collected editions of the dailies and the Sundays. What about you, Jim? What are your
the Rodian column that you made mention? That's featured quite highly. Also in the best story as well, which was a bit of a surprise. So it's almost got me wanting to go back and read that story, like seeing if I've actually missed something.
What did I miss?
Yeah, exactly. So everyone else thinks this is great. I think I might be wrong or something like that. For me, where are we? So this is the first one. Now, I voted which comic that I got excited me the most, with there's the cover, the contents, the concept behind the story and stuff like that. Now, I've talked before about Shane Foley and Matt Kyme and what they did with that. I got a giddy feeling, and it reverted me back to my childhood of reading those type of stories. So for me, when it comes, and it all starts with the paper cover, the yellow bar, the blue background, all that type of stuff. But so as the issue, which includes the cover, the contents, all that type of stuff, this is one of them. And then the other one is the percussion of drums. Now, the stories were not the best. They didn't feature in my best stories, but the fact that it was 108 pages and it had a theme, it had a cover that we hadn't seen before. Well, it was an Italian cover redone. It had new stories, it had sequels, prequels, and all that type of stuff. For me, it was an issue that excited me, that that I got excited about reading it. And I don't always get excited about getting every Frew issue, but this one excited me because of the concept behind it. And then the other one, I'm just double checking, was the trade paperback. Now, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I think Frew should be doing more trade paperbacks and more graphic novels. I think they should be aiming for 1 graphic novel a year and 2 trade paperbacks a year. And for me, that's the reason why they went down to 26 issues a year, is so we can get more of these. And, you know, and I know there's still a bit of an issue with how it's, you know, how it gets distributed and stuff like that. But I think trade paperbacks, and I go to my local comic book shop, and they're always, he's my local comic book shop guy, always tells me that the trade paperback and the graphic novels always fly out the shelf. He says he can't get them in quick enough. He'll get 3 or 4 in, and then they're gone inside a week. And he's been, you know, stocking them up continuously. And he's got to the point where he just buys like 30 or 40 of them at a time because it's cheaper that way. So for me, that's the other issue that really stands out and is in my top 3. Steve?
I surprised myself here. I didn't realise I put percussion of drums in there, but I did it for exactly the same reason that you said, Jerm. It told a story throughout the 100-plus pages with the theme. And the drummer of timpani, he's no stranger to Frew readers because we get him a fair bit. He seems to be published every couple of years, I think. But he stands the test of time. It's a story that people seem to enjoy. And I did enjoy the whole 100-plus issue dedicated to the stories surrounding the drummer of timpani and what goes on there. So surprised myself with that selection, but I'll stick by it. Another one that I chose was the Christmas issue. Like Dan said a moment ago, it's one thing to read these stories, you know, the strip daily or weekly with the Sunday, but to actually have them all collected in one story, one issue, and be able to read them in one hit, or actually read a few episodes in one hit, is always very beneficial, and it's great to reread these stories, remember what was going on. And my third pick is another daily, and it's the 1894, the Rhodian column. Now, this is I own some of the art in this, or I own a strip of the art in this one, so that also helped into why I picked this one. But a reason why I like this, Jim, and you know, you were saying, what have I missed? What's going on? The way that the Phantom was able to eliminate the threat and just keep going up and down the column, getting, you know, negating or knocking off the bad guys, and without picking them off one by one with very little, like, I don't know how many of them got skull marked, but it was very few of them until it got to the end where there was a bit more going on. But he was able to do it in such a secretive and sneaky way that was just applauded. I like the way that he was able to go and execute his plan.
Go back and read it.
Yep, go back and read it. 1894. On a side note, it was the last comic that I bagged and boarded, so that's if anyone wants to know where I'm at in my bagging and boarding and keeping everything in tip-top condition, knows I'm a little bit behind.
Well, should take a leaf out of Jerm's book. Jerm, you've recently finished putting all of your comics in the filing cabinets, haven't you?
Filing cabinets, yes. Bag and board, no.
You found the floor. That's the main thing.
Yeah, the floor, I can actually sit in the room. And my oldest daughter actually came in here the other day and she goes, "Wow, Dad, you do have a floor." So
is it floorboards or carpet?
It's carpet, but yeah, I think she was a little bit shocked that progress.
If we keep moving on our best Frew issues, so Mikael has sent his in. He's agreed with Jerm with the trade paperback 4, and in fact Ankit as well. And that is a very popular issue this year. Probably, you know, for all the reasons that you've talked about, Jerm, the collection of stories. Probably, I dropped it off my list in a sense, maybe because Rise of the Red Dragon went around again so quickly. I don't know. anyway, it's a very fine issue, and I've, it's the only book I've got sitting next to me right now, so I can't I can't be too upset with it. Certainly. Mikael also talked about issue 1896. Which one was that again?
Rotten Apples.
That's Rotten Apples. He does love that story. 1895, while you're close to it, is Ankit's second choice. That's the percussion of drums, which we've talked about. Rotten Apples was Ankit's third one, and Mikael's third one was Kid Fandom number 10, which is nice. It's been mentioned a couple of times now. Favorite issue from Mikael, favorite cover, I think, from you, Steve. And as I've already said, it was a great surprise for that one to just suddenly arrive in the mailbox. There was no spoilers, no, this is about to come, no. It was just a real nice moment to go, oh, what's this? Not expecting something. Boom, it's a Kid Phantom, sadly the last one in the series, but there it is. So up on screen now, we have the People's Votes and the People's Choice Award, essentially. And trade paperback of number 4, as we've said, Treasure of Drakon, not surprisingly, is top of the pops in terms of people's favourite issues. It was a very popular cover. And then, of course, the concept of gathering all of the stories, prequels and sequels of Pirates of the Sin Pirates, Princess Sin and her pirates, sorry. Was fantastic. And of course, that's the new story we saw from Julie Dietrich and Wevel Maccanti as well. So congratulations to everyone involved and all contributors to that issue. Rotten Apples, it's the first time in 3 years that Duncan and Jeff have been moved off the number 1 perch. The first 2 parts of the Prince Rex trilogy took best issue back in 2019 and 2020, but for 2021, they've been bumped to second place by a trade paperback is what it took to do it, Duncan and Jeff, so don't get too upset.
Yeah, I don't have an issue.
The Orient Express Part 1, I think that is. Sorry, the one I'm working on, is issue 3. 4th place was Nosferatu's Revenge as an entire package. So, and I'm working off a different list here now. So they've also obviously got backstories as well. The Grey Malkin Part 8 is the backstory there. Rodian Column we talked about is the 5th favourite issue. The Christmas special with the colour collection of 5 stories, the 4 newspapers stories, and the one, the short that we've talked about, Life's Blood, is in that one. Diana and the Heartbreak again comes in 7th. The 2021 annual special is 8th, and that's the lowest on the list that the annual special has been for quite some time. We'll come back and have a talk about that in a moment. 9th place was Paul Mason's 1905. It's just a shot away with Grey Malkin Part 6. And in 10th place, running at the top 10, was the second Saga of the Vultures issue, with the one combined with Have You Ever Seen the Rain? And, of course, that split skull cover. But the annual special being so low on the list, boys, what do you make of that?
I really wanted to put it up higher. The only reason I didn't is because I probably leant towards new stuff. I thought that the annual special was an absolute quality issue. I remember enjoying the stories. I know some of them probably not everyone's cup of tea. If I remember, some did it have Steggy in it and that sort of thing, or
no? So the theme was Cy Barry.
Yeah, it was Cy Barry, but it didn't have a Cy Barry cover.
Yeah,
Which is not knocking the cover. The cover was great, but having a Cy Barry special without a Cy Barry cover, it seems a little bit weird.
It to me, I'm not surprised in the annual being so low in the top 10. Completely forgot about and just ignored the annual for 2021, to be honest.
I didn't ignore it. I considered it. I honestly considered it, but I went with new stuff over the old stuff.
And for what it's worth, Germ, you voted for The Mysterious Ambassador, and it featured in that book. So you haven't completely ignored it, but perhaps... as an issue, I agree. It had that weirdness about it, a Cy Barry special without a Cy Barry cover, as you said, Steve. And it probably just letdowns is entirely the wrong word. But after the annuals that the Frew crew have been producing over the last 4 or 5, it was certainly not, up to the standard of the female Phantom themed story or the Phantom War themed annuals, that sort of stuff.
That one was brilliant.
The story from the 8 years So yeah, there was some really great annual,
Yeah.
and then you had the Cybari one. It almost, if the Cybari annual was compared to, say, the annuals probably from the 2000s, it quite possibly would have been one of the better ones. But seeing we had 3 or 4 really good annuals that are perhaps the best annuals we've ever seen, it kind of was not as good because it was sitting right next to those.
Yeah.
And those recent ones have all had a strong theme going with it, like the War or Girl Phantom or I think the Western one. And I'm not saying that Cybari is not a strong theme. He's fantastic, but we also see a lot of Cybari collected in places. So
and a theme around an artist is not the same as the theme around the types of stories, which is exactly what the other ones were. So
it'll be interesting to see where the Guardian of the Eastern Dark theme, which is the 2022 annual theme. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that is received, because that is going to have a stronger theme, and it's even going to have at least one new story in it as well.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what that is. The Guardian of the Eastern Dark is always an interesting concept, and it's good to see. I want to see how these different writers and artists are going to be presenting that. So I'm looking forward.
I'm excited because I do own a Cybari Sunday page from the 1980, I think, version of story Guardians of the Eastern Dark, and I'm hopeful that my page gets another run in the fruit.
Alrighty-o. So, Dan, while you're setting up the competition, as we said that it was at the top 5, so 5 people get a prize.
Yeah.
So I think it was 3 get a Free Crew badge, and then the other 4th and 5th get a Chronicle Chamber little stash of merchandise. Now, to be included in this, you had to actually include your postal address. So if you didn't include your postal address, you don't get an entry, because we got to know where to send the item.
Absolutely. So hopefully you're seeing now the screen of all of the entrants.
Rankine voted for his story.
You'd think he probably did. So named and shamed now. If you put your address in and hoping to win a prize. So and Dale Maccanti is another creator we see there. Look, I'll just scroll down slowly.
There was a number of creators who actually voted. Let's not just name 2. There was a lot of them in there.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. But I am just for the sake of having everything above the table. If you're on the YouTube, you can see me scrolling through the names and hopefully if you voted. Hey?
Could you scroll up? Did Terry Cray put a Mr. in front of his name?
I saw that.
Seriously, Terry. That's I'm surprised he didn't go the whole hog and go like Sir or Knight Terry Cray or something like that. Like, if you're going to go one step, go the whole hog.
You can see there we do have a few actually votes for someone's put their name in as Rotten Apples issue 1986. So anyway, I wonder how they voted. Point being that we've got email addresses and post office boxes and whatever it is for all of those people. So we'll scroll further down the screen here and we're going to pick a random name. So we'll start with the first 2 will be Free Crew badges. Would that be? Put you guys on the other side. All right, random names. Hopefully we get 3 of these. No, 2 did I say, didn't he? So Dale Maccanti. Dale Maccanti has just won himself a Free Crew badge, as well as second place in the best story of 2021, and Michelle Forrester. So congratulations to the 2 of you. Michelle, I'm not sure, I don't recognise you as a fan and creator or anyone with a horse in the race, but congratulations to you. We'll get in touch with the team at Frew and get those sent your way. And so if I want to do a redraw, pick another name. Pick a random name. Now we want 3 winners this time, don't we?
Yep.
And I didn't tick the remove name from list of names after the draw, but we'll just say now if it's Dale Maccanti or Michelle Robinson, they are not eligible for the Chronicle Chamber pack. But the 3 winners of those will be Chad Kyme, who I'm wagering is related to Matt, and Zac Savage. So congratulations to the three of you. We'll track down your addresses and get those packs sent to you as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you, everyone, for entering in and participating. Like we said before, basically, Frew used these results to kind of give them an idea of what readers, or giving them an idea of what readers like and what they might not like as much. So votes are important. So thank you for doing that.
It feels like, and I know you're just getting that up, but it feels like a bit of a quieter year for merchandise. Not quite as many on the list as there has been in previous years.
Not as many big ticket items as well, I would kind of like say. But in saying that, we did have a couple of big ticket items like the board game, which is the Treasures of Drakon. Now, I hope Frew Games do release another game. Now, I know there was a fair share of issues with, delays and COVID and artists and stuff like that. And it was probably a huge undertaking for the Frew Crew's or Frew's first Kickstarter campaign. But I would like to see more Kickstarter campaigns, and I would like to see the Frew Games do something else as well. So, yes. And then, of course, we had the card game, which has already got an expansion pack, which will be released in 2022. So this was done by Mikael, who is a Chronicle Chamber contributor. Then you've had
see that Frew are carrying the card game now, and you can purchase it through the Frew website.
Yeah, which is really good because it just basically saves on postage as well. You've got the Generation poster, which was a real hit. So huge congratulations to Jeff Weigel and also Pete Clowes, who was the original commissioner for that. Then we've got some T-shirts and merch like Christmas decorations from King Features. This is just a sample. This is like one shirt that they had, and they also did a good mark ring as well. So it was just good to see. These are kind of more your lower end items. Not if you live in Australia and you have to pay postage and currency exchange, but it was good to see them kind of do that. And then, of course, we had the Malin diaries. So the 2020, we had 2 diaries released in 2021, which is something kind of unique. We had the 85th anniversary diary, this was the one cover and this was the second cover. First cover was done by Cy Barry and the second cover was done by Doug Kaluba, which we had a little bit to do with. And then the end of 2021, you had the 2022 diary, which was this is the diary here, which is featuring the Phantom, like that, with Devil and Hero in the background. And then you've had the journal as well. Now, not showed in this picture is also the print of this picture as well. You've had the NECA figurines, which I would assume most fans have probably got, and will be.
I don't have them yet.
Don't have them.
Yeah, I know. It's a travesty.
It is, and you call yourself a Phantom fan.
I'm also a Pogo Phantom fan. I don't have the cash for it.
Good Phantom fans would have themselves one of these. The next Phantom figurine from NECA is on pre-order at the moment as well. There will be a post up on social media about that. And then, of course, lastly, you had some of these little freebie giveaways with Regal Publications as well, which are like little stickers, posters, bookmarks, and stuff like that as well. So,
I like the stamp.
Yeah, the stamp's kind of cool.
I don't think the Phantom would be happy with the stamp. Wasn't there a big story about that a few years ago?
He does not want to be on the stamp.
Yeah.
That is. So we asked, like we have with everything, we asked Mikael and Ankit. Mikael said no comment, again, because he was actually
He had a horse in the race.
He had a horse in the race, so he thought he'd better not sway the judges' decisions by putting in a vote. Ankit was the card game, and he put, of course. And then, of course, the NECA figurines. Dan, do you want to give us your top 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah, for sure. And when you rattle off the list, and it's not so much when you rattle off the list, but when you go through and show us the photos of everything, and we actually talk a little bit about each of the items. I said at the beginning of this chat that looking back on 2021, it didn't really feel like a big merch year. But when you look at what came out, maybe I've sort of put the games in different years because that's when the Kickstarters were, but they arrived this year, and it's hard to believe that that's only this year that those came out right at the start. So it's actually been quite a big year, and there's not too much of that list that are really that I don't want in my collection. Let's put it that way. Look, I do have a bit of a horse in the race, and so I'm going to vote for the 2021 Malin Diary. I think that is, you mentioned in passing, Jerm, that we had a little bit to do with it. That was a really fun project to be involved in, and I'm really pleased that book saw print. I'm disappointed, as we all were, that it wasn't published sort of in time for the Christmas, at the right time for a diary to actually come out. But as a book, as a volume, I still think it's every Phantom fan should have one, and I mean that.
It almost didn't happen.
No, that's right.
It almost didn't happen, and you're right. We probably did undersell ourselves. Basically, a couple of years ago, actually, we on this podcast we said, they need to make these diaries better, and so basically Malin said, "Well, all right, you talk yourselves a big game and all that. Here's a chance for you to prove yourself." So hopefully all our listeners and YouTube watchers and all that kind of think we actually did do a good job.
Yeah. The two games I absolutely have on the list as well. I'll just wait. So you've got the board game up there first. I'm finding it difficult to play the board game, and that's partly to do with having people to play it with and people who know how board games work these days as well.
Game.
Sorry?
There is the solo.
Yeah, no, 100%. I am an old man, German, and I'm struggling to understand the rules of these young whippersnappers games. But it's a beautiful package. The figurines are worth it for the price of admission alone, the playing pieces. And I really am keen. I've got a game that I've got open and want to play. It's not a collectible. It's going to be in action, and I'm keen to get that happening. The Phantom card game, just the variety of images that are available in that card game and the playability of it. I'll let Steve talk to that more, but I've certainly had some success with it. But Steve, since you can't talk about it, I'm absolutely going to say the NECA figurine. You've got to get one. I've posed this guy in probably my least favourite pose. James got me back on screen. So I've posed this guy in probably my least favourite pose from the Phantom movie, where Billy Zane is shooting back with his ring. Because I can do it, it actually looks really cool. I love the way that this looks sitting on the shelf. And I think I've said before, once a week or so, I'll come down and change the pose. And I just really enjoy playing with this figurine. And I've got one in a box that I can collect. So,
can you put Ming in the Xander Drax pose?
Ming is still in his box. He's not coming in. Because he was some work to get movable and stuff. He's quite poseable and bendable now, but yeah, it is some work with the order to get them moving. Still worth the play.
Quick question: will you get Mandrake and Lothar?
Yeah, no, I will. Whether they get out of the box again or not, I don't know.
Are you going to be buying 2 of the classic Phantom figurine?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I love this little toy, and I've wrecked his pose there now, but it's going to be a lot of fun getting it back or putting him in some other position. There's a couple of stiff joints still, like this toe doesn't move, but the rest of it's pretty good. And this is the toy I wanted when I was 12, and I just love being able to play with it. Looking forward to, as you say, the classic ones as well when they come out. That'll be almost certainly my favourite of 2022, I imagine.
And half a century later, you got it.
Yeah, that's it. Half a century.
All right, what about you, Dan? Stephen?
I didn't realise we had a top 3 on this one because I just thought it was one. And in that case, I chose the card game because I've played this a lot. Well, like Dan said with the figure, you can't help but play with it. And I've played the card game a number of times. And at the start, like Dan was saying about the board game, getting used to this different style of playing took a little bit of a while. Then I was on the blower to Mikael a little bit. Am I doing this right? And without too much time passing, figured out the mechanics of the game and got it going and realized that you build your deck up and then you use that deck to play the next episode, or you can replay the same episode with your new abilities. It's like you gained XP, or you've played a level in a computer game, and then as you've played that level, you've upgraded as you are, and then you can go back and play that level again. That sort of thing with your new skills or your new cards in the deck. So I might pull it out again tomorrow. I've been meaning to pull it out over the holidays. I haven't yet, so I might pull it out tomorrow and have another go. The board game, same.
With your kids?
Say that again.
Game? Have you tried playing the card game with your kids?
A little bit with Jeremy, my youngest, but he's a little young, and but if I pull it out tomorrow, he'll probably want to sit down and have a play with it. He's actually got into Pokemon lately, so I've been learning how to play Pokemon. So now that he's actually had a bit more of a dipped his toe in with another version or a more popular card game, and getting the idea of these mechanics of abilities and all that sort of stuff, he might do better now, or might understand the Phantom card game a bit better now. And for that reason, also the board game hasn't been played as much because of I didn't have anyone to play with it. Like I said, I could do the solo campaign, but I've also need a fair bit of time to get my head around it as well, which I really, really want to do. I really want to get in there and play it like I've been playing the card game. I really want to get those figures. That'll be the next thing on my list. But yeah, number one has got to be the card game because, well, I own it, and I've used it a lot. If it wasn't for like you said, there's not much merchandise, but it's quality merchandise. Yeah. It really is.
So for me, the games and the figurines are obvious choices. I wanted to talk about these extras or giveaways from Regal publishers. Now, for me, I think these are key, and one of the reasons why these stand out, in my opinion, is because this stamp, I remember it was on Facebook, and a couple of people were like, oh wow, that is so cool, I want to go buy that issue, and they're buying that issue purely because of the stamp. And it happens with bookmarks, posters, because kids like bookmarks for when they stick in their books, posters they stick in their walls. It gives people a reason to buy those comics, and it happens in India where this is happening. And it also happens in Australia and the US where people are trying to hunt down those comics because they want those extras as well. So for me, these are top items, and I would like to see Frew and Team Fantomen go down this track and include extras in their comic issues as well.
On that point, one of the annuals that we neglected to mention when we were talking about annuals before was the Isle of Eden special. Yep. And which had the poster in it. Now, my boy Jeremy wants that issue because he wants the poster, and I'm not giving him mine.
Yeah, so this is our favourite Chronicle Chamber moment of the year, and I always enjoy listening to what different people take away from this, because being involved in Chronicle Chamber is a real privilege, and some of the things we get to do, the conversations we get to have are unreal. And in the past, the Bushfire book, for instance, or Chatting with Cybarry has featured highly on this. And again, similar to Frew, I think it's been a bit more of a diverse year for Chronicle Chamber. So let's go straight to, I guess, the newest member of the team, the person who's jumped on board most recently is our Indian representative, Ankit Mitra, and we've talked about him as part of a creative team over in India for the Regal comics. But he has said that he really enjoyed the colours episode where we talked about the Phantom comic being in colour or not. He says it really made him enthused to do his own stuff out there. The Phantom 2040 TV chat as well, and he enjoyed the podcast that we had with King Features. He loves all of the discussions as they're sincere and getting into new faces with the Phantom quiz shows that Steve conducted as our Christmas issue. He says that's great to see that there's young blood into the character as well. So thank you, Ankit, for that one. Jerm, what was your highlight of the year?
The KFS chat. I didn't realise that it was this year, to be honest. For 200 episodes, we've been saying we need to get KFS, we need to get King Features on, and ask them these questions which we've been asking on the podcast. And we finally got to ask them. They didn't answer everything, and we didn't get the exact answers that we wanted in from every question we asked. But to get them on the line and for the listeners to be able to go, oh, that's why you did this, or I can see why you did that, but I don't agree with it. And it just gave some context to some baffling decisions that we've all been wondering about from the previous 80 odd years. Now, I took out of that chat, and I know some people are not going to agree with that, but I took out of that chat that there is a movie or a TV show in the works. The way they flatly denied and said no comment, that's what I got out of that. So it was nice to get that confirmation.
If they say they're not doing it, then they must definitely be doing it. That's Jermayn's...
They said no comment. And then the other thing that I got out of that was that there needs to be a Phantom Bible. In talking to them about what you look for in a Phantom story and what their Phantom Bible is and what I picture a Phantom Bible was there was a lot of room in between it. And so for me, there was a need that needs to be filled.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mikael agreed with you with regards to the TV series or movie. He said as part of his favourite stuff, a great year with so many good memories. He loved listening to the guys behind the Phantom 2040 in particular and Defenders of the Earth. Another one that you sort of forget was only this year when we explored those creations from a couple of decades ago. But Mikael says the best moment is that he got his hopes up for the Phantom in a TV series or movie in the future. And I think you got that from the King Features chat as well. So Mikael shares that cynical streak with you, Jerm, that maybe the lady doth protest too much. Steve, what about yourself?
My best moment is, I'm going to butcher the name. You know who it is already. Ayus Abia. Correct me on my pronunciation once more. But reading your letter, I've read it a few times. I've shared it on my own personal Facebook page. That by talking with KFS, talking with Tony DePaul, talking with all these great creators, all fantastic. But to read someone's heartfelt letter and who appreciates what we do for fun, and he's so respectful, so well mannered, and talks us up, which is always nice. So my best Chronicle Chamber moment was reading that letter, probably for the third or fourth time, actually, if I'm being honest. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
and it was my pleasure to run the quiz, and I'm glad you had so much fun with it.
That's awesome. Look, I have also said here the King Features chat because, like Jerm said, it was a long time in the making. We talked about it a lot. We'd probed at different times trying to find somebody, so it was fantastic to finally get someone on the line. And we'll have to have a follow up. Let's keep an eye on the anniversary of that chat and send them another email just saying, hey, how about we catch up? I really love insights behind the creative team, and for me, I know, Jerm, you're fascinated by the inner workings of the artist. For me, it's a lot of the time it's the author, and where do ideas come from and how do they develop and that sort of stuff. So the insights we get into Tony DePaul's writing and the way that he goes about it. For instance, that episode 200, I'm still filthy that I missed that. The opportunity to talk to Tony DePaul and Mike Manley and Jeff Weigel as a creative trio was just fantastic, eavesdropping and listening in on that conversation. And I'm also going to have to give a pump up for that Malin Diary 2021 as well. I know, again, that some people like it, some people don't. But for us to get the opportunity to put something out into the fandom world there that I think deserves longevity, I'm pretty tough with that as well.
Moving on from that, from the best Chronicle chamber, we go into the overall reflection on 2021. So this is encompassing everything. So Mikael, he's got more countries producing fan comics is great. Let's hope this trend continues and that we will soon have even more. Here. We absolutely hope that's going to happen, Mikael. And as we mentioned right at the start, we've got Germany coming on board next year. Who's going to come on? This year. Who's going to come on board next year? I can't wait to find out. What about you, Jerm? I think you're on much the same vein.
Yeah,
National comic collector that you are.
Well, that's a big thing, obviously, because I'm a collector as well, that I like to have more things in my collection. But it's also important for not only for a TV show or a fan movie, which we hope will come to fruition, but it's also for the popularity of the character. For the last decade or so, the Phantom's just been a Australian and a Swedish character. For us to be able to get more and more and to be able to get more cool stuff, but also TV shows, movies and stuff like that, we need the Phantom to be published around the world. 10 countries is good, 15. That's where King Features should be targeting is, okay, we're going to be having 15 different countries publishing, at least 2-3 comics a year. That's where we should be going. And then once we get 15, it's 20. Just get back to, countries publishing the Phantom. It will send me broke, but it will, there's a lot of fans out there that are just waiting for a comic to be published in their country. And a good example of that is India. We've seen it all on our social media pages and stuff like that. Regal, they jumped in there, they did it, and then Shakti's come on board, and now there's just heaps of Indian fans that we're seeing on the Chronicle Chamber pages, on Phantom Collector, and all these other type of pages coming out of the woodwork, so to speak, because now a Phantom comic is being published in their country. How many other fans are like that are in Germany or in France, Canada, Brazil? We're seeing it, and stuff like that. We need to see more comics so we can see more fans around the place. Now, the other interesting thing is I would like to see other countries or other publishers create new stories besides Frew and Fantomen. That's more of a long-term goal, and that's where I would like, because it's still only those two. And then an interesting point is that Frew officially are creating more stories than Fantomen, which is a fairly big change.
Yeah, well done, Frew. Ankit, his reflections from over in India, saying a good year with more nice originals and coloured English releases. I would like to see more English Fantomen stories in colour published, more trade paperbacks in colour and English. It's a treasure trove of stories which hasn't been available to the majority of the English reading world. And also trades of coloured older strips. And I personally love Pide and Boyk's horror stuff and can't wait to see if they have more collaborations in the same vein. Very good. Dan, obviously you've just posed the fan up. Is he giving the good mark up there, is he?
Yes, nice, good mark. Good mark coming out to all of our viewers if you're on YouTube. Now it's sitting next to me, I can't stop playing with it. Look, I absolutely hear what is being said about comics from around the world, and I'm all for expanding the audiences around the world that are going to see the character, because it's going to help with the longevity of it and all the rest of it. But what I've really enjoyed this year is the quality of Frew as it's improved. James already mentioned that they've actually produced more original content this year than Team Fantomen have, which is an extraordinary thing to say. You would never have thought that 6 or 7 years ago. And I think what we're seeing is the 5 or 6 years of the Frew crew being together now and the energy that they're putting in really starting to pay off. The quality of the covers, the diversity of the artists from around the world, and particularly locally in Australia, we've talked about that. I think that Frew are just increasingly lifting the bar. The annual was perhaps the step that they faltered on this year, but other than that, I think that they've just been absolutely incredible. And for them to be able to have achieved that in 2021, which we know Sydney, where Frew is based, went through months and months of lockdown. The Frew crew couldn't get together in the same room. Dudley's trying to put editorials together and get translations done. Meanwhile, he's stuffing envelopes as well to send out to subscribers. Like the work that was done by that team of people under extraordinary circumstances, for them to be better again than what they've been, just speaks to the processes that they've put in place, I think, and the back catalogue that they're starting to build of locally created stories as well. So I can't sing their praises highly enough for what they're doing. And I guess also I've mentioned it before, my second thing would be the direction of the newspaper strip. I think that Tony's really got an eye on where he wants to take this character and the story at the moment, and I'm really enjoying that ride.
Very good. And for my mind, once again, the quality of fandom issues continues to rise. And we've been saying it every year, but this year was extremely hard to pick favourites from Frew, as their strike rate is almost 100%, like betting at almost 100. It's been great to see them give local talent a go, and that talent continues to improve with each issue that they are involved in. Then there's some great merch coming out from a variety of sources. The only issue there is the price point is an issue on some of it, though. But you can get some at the lower price point, which is still good quality stuff. So look, I'm getting distracted by the fan, by the toy, having a blast there. So it's been a stellar year, and like Dan said, amongst the pandemic, being able to get the quality out has been phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what happens in 2023.
We hope you've enjoyed this. It has been a longer podcast. I've got distracted. I'm playing with toys at the death here. It's probably going to be close to, it'll tick over 2 hours. But look, we've had a lot to go through. 2021 was huge, as we've said from the tail of the tape at the start. And those are our opinions and on what we liked. And, as we've said, I think Frew in particular is catering to lots of different tastes. And increasingly the fandom is spreading around the world over the last couple of years, so it's fantastic to see. You may not have agreed with it, as Steve said, though we'd much rather hear from you if you do agree with things we've said. Because
we'll hear from you either way.
We just love the interaction with everybody. And so, comment on YouTube. We've got a bunch of people who seem to enjoy watching us there and commenting on the YouTube channel, which is fantastic. Goodbye play and any of the social posts that Jermayn in particular puts up. A shout out, of course, for our Patreon people. Thank you once again for supporting us in what we do. Things like prizes for contests that we put together and that sort of stuff. That comes from your support, paying for the website and all the rest of it. It doesn't hurt, if only in our best of podcasts and our Happy New Year's, to say thank you so much for that support that you guys are putting through. We hope that you enjoy the Fandom Preservation Project as your thanks, and you continue to scroll through and find great things in that. All details of that, of course, are on our website, or you can go to the Patreon and search for Chronicle Chamber as well. If you want to get in touch, make sure that you email us at chroniclechamber@gmail.com. All of the usual socials, YouTube we've mentioned, Facebook, you can search for Chronicle Chamber there, or have a look for the Phantom Collector group, and you'll find us. We're on Twitter at Chronicle_tweet and on the gram at Chronicle Chamber. And of course, you can subscribe, as we said at the top, on iTunes, Spotify, any of your favorite Android apps, as well as YouTube as well. Hit the bell and the whistle and all that sort of thing that the kids seem to say on these things. Guys, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed that reflection, looking back on 2021. Lots to reflect on, lots to enjoy, and it's been a real pleasure doing it.
Yeah, it's been a bumper long ride. Here's to 2022, and hopefully we have some more fun.
And upon the skull
Absolutely.
of the man who killed his dad, he said, I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die.
The Phantom,
The ghost who walks,
the Phantom,
enemies beware, the Phantom's always there, but you won't mind the Phantom. He finds